Good morning. I've had the sense that we need to make some changes in education for quite a while now. It seems like so much of what we do just doesn't make sense. And I, like many middle-aged Americans, just want to make a difference. For me, I want to make schools a better place for kids. One of the best things about being an educator is all the incredible people that you have the opportunity to interact with. Those amazing teachers who believe in your crazy ideas, or those students that come back to you years later to tell you that you made a difference for them, and all the support staff in our buildings that do so much, regardless of their title, their role, what their job is supposed to be. Those people make me want to be a better educator, a better leader, a better person. And they always seem to be there for you during the toughest times. And I think back to a tough time in my life. I was recently divorced, starting a new position, new home, moved into a new community, and I had a lot of fear. Would I be successful in my new role? Would I be accepted in my new community? Would I ever find love again? Would I ever be loved again? But none of those fears were as strong as the fear that I had that I would let this person down. It's my son, Scott. He was 2 years old at the time. Would I be the dad that he deserved? Would I see him enough? Would our divorce do damage to him? It was also new then. My ex-wife and I weren't the partners, much like siblings, in raising him that we are today. The wounds of our divorce were still raw. We were angry, afraid the other one was going to take advantage of each other. But that's when an inspiration appeared to me. In this case, it was a father of 2 children in my new school who was also going through a divorce. Unfortunately for him, his ex-wife wasn't as reasonable as mine. She made his life difficult every step of the way, putting him down in front of the kids, giving him a hard time in parent-teacher conferences, making it even difficult for him to pick them up, trying to drive a wedge between his relationship with his children. But he handled it so beautifully. He never reacted. He never got angry. In fact, he tried to bring his children together with their mother. And that was the example I needed at the right time in my life. And I truly believe without that example, I wouldn't be the dad that I am today. And here I am with my 3 boys doing one of our favorite things, riding a Disney ride, Tower of Terror. I kept track of those kids and their dad and watched them progress through our school system long after they left my building. And they were so successful, and it was great to see. The oldest, world-class athlete with plenty of scholarship opportunities. The youngest, top of his class, hoping to get into an Ivy League school someday. And Dad was there, right by their side, every step of the way. Funny thing happened, though. Mom started to appear less and less, until she was almost non-existent in their lives. But they had their dad. He was there. He was their rock, giving them exactly what they needed when they needed it. That's what makes the next part of this story so difficult to tell. Not too long ago, he made an appointment to come see me, my new role as assistant superintendent. And I was looking forward to the meeting. I wanted to hear how the kids were doing, but more importantly, I wanted to do something that I had failed to do all those years ago. Tell him how inspirational he was. Tell him he was a great dad. But when he walked into my office that day, I could tell something had changed. He didn't look the same. He looked beaten. He looked smaller. My fears were confirmed, and I asked about the kids and how they were doing. And this rock of a man broke down. He started to cry. He explained to me his youngest had spiraled. When he failed to get into that Ivy school that he wanted so badly to get into, he experienced a mental break, later substance abuse issues. It got so bad that he didn't even graduate from high school. And that's why he was there to see me that day. What he had said next really stuck with me. And I think about it often, still today. He said, you know, I once had such high hopes for my son. I wanted him to change the world, to be a leader, to be a CEO, to make a lot of money, maybe even be president someday. He said, now what I want for my son, I just want a normal life. I want him to be happy. I want him to be healthy. We are in different times today. Suicide rates have doubled in our country. Our small community has lost so many youth. Recent graduates, good families, good people I consider friends. Our kids are coming to school scared, afraid that they might be shot, 97 school shootings in our country in 2018. Today, 1 in 6 children ages 2 through 8 are experiencing some sort of mental health issue. 50% of Americans will deal with a mental health issue in their lifetime. Walk into any school in America today, you can see it. Kids in their favorite teachers' classrooms breaking down crying in distress from the burden that they feel. Cutting, outbursts, discipline issues, substance abuse, suicide. I'm sorry to say, our children are in the midst of a mental health crisis today. And I think it's more dire than we're willing to admit. We have to make some changes. And it has to be us, the passionate educators, those that are shaping the next generation of Americans, that make those changes. We have to ask ourselves, why do we do certain things in schools? Is it really in the best interest of our kids? Or is it just because that's the way we do things around here? Why do we ask high schoolers to get up before the sun rises? We know that's not in their best interest. Why do we give so many standardized tests when the last thing that our country needs is a standardized workforce? Why do we tell kids exactly what to do, exactly when to do it, exactly how to do it? And we're surprised when they can't make decisions on their own, and they don't show responsibility? Why do we use an antiquated grading system that discourages a growth mindset when we claim to believe in a growth mindset? Why do we worry about so many skills, external skills, rather than internal skills, rather than social skills? Aren't those truly important? Again, it's time for us as educators, the passionate people, to make those changes, to take that next step. And in our district, we decided to approach it first through homework reform. And it's been a long journey. It's been 3 years. It started really as a grassroots effort when many teachers, parents, students reached out to me and started questioning homework, not only in our district, but in our country. I was a little apprehensive at first. I know how controversial this topic can be. But then I got the push that I needed in the form of a petition. Students had given me a petition and talked about all the stress that homework added, how sometimes the tasks seemed meaningless just for the sake of getting a check mark on the top of a paper or a grade. One child even talked about being upset that he missed his grandmother's birthday party because he had a packet full of homework. So we put together a team, included parents, included teachers, students, administrators. We gave everyone a voice. And what did we do? Well, we did our homework. We researched. We read. We examined what people were doing in other districts. We went to workshops. We looked at our internal practices, did surveys with our parents, with our teachers, with our students, looked at our policy, our practices, had conversations, formal, informal. And what did we find? There's a lot of misconceptions about homework. It doesn't support student achievement like we think it does. It doesn't promote responsibility, work ethic, as many believe. The best teachers, the most rigorous teachers, aren't the ones that add so much homework to their students' workload. I'm proud to say, based on those findings, we are putting in a new policy in our district next year. Here are some of the highlights of that policy. Homework can now count only up to 5% of a student's average. If we're asking kids to take time out of their personal lives, we will give them feedback on the work that they did. We're looking to do higher level types of questioning rather than rote tasks that can be answered by Alexa or Googling. We want to give choice because we know there's not just one pathway, and it's not the same pathway for every student to reach the goals and objectives of a class. We will no longer have homework on weekends, over breaks. We won't require students to do reading logs. We won't take away recess for missed homework. We won't penalize students for things their parents failed to do, like sign off on a test or bring in a box of tissues. Yeah, some of these changes are controversial, and it's going to require buy-in from our teachers. But when I went around and spoke to all of our teachers in our buildings, in our departments, I promised them one thing. We would support them along this journey. And at the end of the year, if they came back to me and said, our students are disadvantaged by this, our students are being hurt, then we will make the necessary adjustments. But I don't believe that's going to be the case. I believe our students will be better off. I believe our district will be better off. I believe we've taken a step in the right direction. And I ask each and every one of you, all of the amazing educators out there, you take a step in that right direction as well. It doesn't have to be homework, doesn't have to be grades. What doesn't seem to make sense to you? Our children deserve it. Our parents deserve it. Our school system deserves it. That dad that was an inspiration for me deserves it. So once again, I'll ask you, if not us, then who?